My wife and I were married for 17 years. We didn't meet in high school like so many of my friends and their wives. Half are divorced. We met at a friend's party some years after high school. My wife and I married for 4 years after we met. I started a graphic design company many years ago. It was a struggle to keep it going, and my wife was an executive secretary for a tech firm. Once my business became more successful, we discussed having kids. Unfortunately, my wife had issues with her ovaries and had to have a hysterectomy. It was heartbreaking, but the doctor said if she didn't perform the procedure, she would be in constant pain. She would have issues with pelvic pain, I guess in part due to the fibroids. Anyway, our relationship didn't falter. She was depressed for a while because she couldn't have kids. As you can imagine, I didn't love her any less. Our relationship seemed like it got a little stronger, for a while at least. We didn't have any issues in the bedroom. We made time for each other, and I always kept our date nights, and I cooked for her some nights, just trying to be romantic. Unfortunately for me, her behavior took a subtle shift, and I wasn't paying attention. She would come home later from work. She was a little bit more irritable, and the affection was starting to fade. For example, when I cooked dinner for her one night, she didn't get home until almost midnight, and she usually got off work at 6 p.m. Another red flag sticks out. She didn't tell me anything, didn't tell me she was with her coworkers. I didn't yell at her. I simply told her it wasn't polite that she didn't communicate with me about her whereabouts and didn't respond when I reached out to her. I think he did good. Although people will tell you to gather evidence first, I agree, but in some cases, calling out your spouse when you notice odd behavior isn't bad either. Even after that incident, I didn't pressure her, but I did make a note. Fast forward a month, and I get a call from a friend who is out at a club. He tells me he sees my wife with many of her coworkers, but also notices my wife getting kind of cozy with some guy. Before I could ask him if he was sure, he sent me a photo, and sure enough, their faces were so close together that they could almost be kissing. I said in a previous video, you never know who has cameras rolling. He told me that's how they have been since coming to the bar. I didn't question her about it when she got home later that night. As time went on, her behavior became increasingly more erratic. A couple of times, she didn't even come home, but her location showed she was at a friend's house who lives with her mom, and they both said she was too drunk to drive home. Do you guys think she was at her friend's place? I don't. Maybe she left her phone behind. One night during our date night, I flat out asked her if she was cheating on me. She looked at me like I was crazy. She then asked me why I would ask her that. The only thing I said to her was that she had changed. I didn't tell her about the photo my friend sent me. I wanted to hear what she had to say. Good move. She told me she loved me and would never do anything to destroy our marriage, and I didn't ask her anything else. I had no proof that she was doing anything besides my friend's photo. We didn't have a dead bedroom as everyone talks about. Our sex life never dropped drastically, but it did slow down a little. Fast forward a month, and she didn't come home for dinner or tell me where she was going. So, instead of trying to reach out to her, I called her friend, who she always hangs out with. Well, I couldn't get a hold of her either. I texted her mom, who told me they went to a bar. I went to the bar I knew she would be at, and it turned out she was with the same guy in the photo my friend sent. Her friend was also there with the guy. Note, her friend is single. I confronted her right there. This guy got up. I quickly shut his ass down, pulled up my shirt and showed my firearm, and told him to back the fuck off. OP kept his composure. Good move. My wife started yelling at me, and I could tell she was drunk, telling me I was not her father and to stop being controlling. I said okay and left the bar. I was so mad, but walking away was the best thing to do. My wife didn't get home until almost 3 in the morning. I didn't address her, didn't say anything. The next day, I went to see an attorney to see what divorce would look like, just to get an idea of what I was facing. The attorney asked me a series of financial questions. I told him she was an executive secretary who makes about $50,000 per year. I told him I made almost 3 times what she made, and he then asked me what brought me in today. I told him I thought she might be cheating on me, and he asked, do you have any proof she is being unfaithful? I showed him the picture of my friend and the conversation we had. The attorney told me that's not enough to prove anything. Yeah, he's right. He said in the state of Georgia, if I can prove my wife is cheating, I may not have to pay her alimony. So after the meeting, I went home to process what he told me. He also told me something interesting. He said if I follow through with the divorce, don't sleep with my wife once I have concrete proof she is cheating on me. If I do sleep with her, it may hinder my ability to avoid paying alimony. That's an interesting comment. So I did some research. I didn't want to hire a private investigator, but that may be my only option. I looked at voice-activated recorders, which wouldn't be sufficient, and trackers, which wouldn't prove anything. So I had the idea of a dash cam, but I thought she would notice it because of how large it was. Yeah, they are pretty big. My only viable option was a private investigator. It was a quick process. I had a consultation. The next day he was on the job. Within a month, he found out that my wife was cheating on me with 2 other men. The one guy I encountered at the club had a wife and 2 kids. She was using this girls' night as a cover to hang out with a friend and cheat on me with these on 2 occasions. The private investigator caught her going to this guy's house while his wife was working. The other guy she was messing with was some random guy living in another city, living with his dad. I filed for divorce right away and moved out of the apartment we were sharing while she was at work. After I moved out, I went no contact and had her served with divorce papers at her job. She tried to reach out to me, but I didn't respond to her calls or messages. The divorce hearing was quick. She did not get alimony, but we owned the rental property we had to sell and split the proceeds. Word had gotten around that I was the bad guy. That's why we divorced. But I quickly put out those fires. Everyone in our social circle saw the footage the private investigator gathered, and their attitude toward me changed. I also ratted out my ex-wife's AP to his wife. Never heard back, but she had the evidence that her husband was cheating on her. If anyone is going through this exact situation, try to remain calm and keep your wits about you. I almost lost it when my ex-wife's AP got in my face at the bar. Violence will cause problems, and I want to thank Tony for allowing me to share my story. Well, he took the words right out of my mouth. Violence will only cause more grief unless it's self-defense. And one more thing, I want to thank everyone that has consumed the content I put out. I know I took a lot of videos down, but as you know, they were being stolen. And finally, YouTube is taking some action. I apologize for uploading so many videos. I hate spamming my audience. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Until next time.